Hi, everyone. This is Kanika. I'm the founder and CEO of Mindcog. We're a market research and marketing communications advisory company. And welcome to another episode of the Insights Lounge, where we bring to you industry leaders, change makers to share their experiences and help us learn and grow with them. Today, we're lucky to have our guest, Mr. Himanshu Jain, a tenured industry leader across strategy, sales, advisory roles in corporate as well as family businesses for several years. He's worked across geographies. We are very happy to have him on board with us. Thank you, Himanshu, for being our guest.
Thanks, Kanika, for a very, I would say, concise yet generous description. Like she said, I've been in the industry for 35 plus years and I've worked largely across multinationals plus family businesses of scale. Now,
Yes.
one of the uniqueness of my journey has been that in the early part of my life, I joined a large Indian corporate, moved to bigger corporates globally, and then I came down to a smaller corporate globally with a much larger role. And that is where I kind of did most of my learning experiences, both at the board level as well as at the operating level. Pleasure to be part of this podcast. Very happy to be able to share my experience and knowledge or learnings with the larger audience, and hopefully they will find it useful.
Great. Interesting that you started with that introduction because that was going to be my first question. You've spent decades in your corporate roles, across Diversey, HUL, ExxonMobil, in different geographies before you switched gears to start Promenable to work specifically with Indian founders, family businesses, and mid-sized companies. What triggered this shift?
I'll explain. I realized I was part of the global executive committee of a $3.5 billion company. And I realized that I have accomplished in that company what I could. Now, what was my life story all about? From being an average middle class boy, who studied across India in multiple cities, changing school every 3 years, to all this journey, I learned a lot of things about how the businesses move, what makes it move, what makes one business successful and yet other struggling in the same domain, why one is successful and why one is not. Plus, I have also wondered and constantly thought about why Indian companies do not scale beyond a point. And it's not large or small, it's all sizes. Very few, we have the largest bank in India is HDFC Bank. And yet in the global pecking order, it's far behind. So why is it that Indians cannot build global companies? And it constantly bothered me. And then I saw a large MSME, what I call the base of the industrial thing. 50-60% of our GDP or industrial production comes out of them. And yet they don't go beyond a size. Then I met quite a few promoters across businesses and I found certain things common to follow. And I realized that this is the space I want to play and make a difference. Because Indians don't lack in the entrepreneurial energy or knowledge or the knack for it. What they lack in letting go of control, which is why as long as everything is within an arm's reach and you can touch and feel and do it, the business does very well. It doesn't scale up because after a point that you can't touch and feel everything far enough. And there are plenty of large examples globally. Companies like Cargill, $165 billion company, still private, managed by the family. Walmart,
Great
for a
example.
very long time, it's one of the world's largest companies, no longer now because of the tech boom. But before the tech boom, it was the largest company for a very long time. And even today, a significant influence by the company. Then I had Johnson back, SC Johnson. And I always wondered why these companies, which are, we prefer to call them leather companies in India. So they are American leather. To me, there's no difference, except in the approach to business. And that approach makes all the difference between scaling up and not.
Very interesting.
I wanted to share that difference, knowledge and bring these insights to a lot more people in this industry so that at least some of them will get, inspired is a big word, but some of them will get challenged that let me do it if others are.
Correct.
It's a longish answer to your question, but that's the way I feel about it.
I totally appreciate that. It's very interesting. I actually didn't think about large companies, US based companies, which many of us know that when they were actually originally Lala companies, you used the right word.
But
So,
let me give you a very interesting fact. If you go to Germany, if you go to Europe, Europe is
mm,
full of medium scale companies and thousands of companies in the scale of 100 to 600 million dollars and which have a global footprint now. And they do fantastic work, still family owned or trust owned. They have not been swallowed by a large, they're
mm,
still small and they each one plays in its niche role. One of the best example of this is wineries. If you look at wineries globally, you don't find a large winery except
mm,
very few, like you find the Jacobs Creek coming out of Australia, or some brands have become volume based. But most of the wines are artisan wines. Everybody,
mm,
your wine master who is very passionate about what he does. He makes a small consignment, sells it, enjoys it. Some of these bottles sell for $10,000 once in a while when the season is good and the wine takes a very beautiful shape. Full of that. And these businesses prosper. And what I'm looking is, why can't we have more of such businesses out of India at a higher scale? Why are we stuck at $4 or $5 million and don't go beyond that?
can you share an example where you would say that there were certain solutions examples in terms of difference of such family owned businesses in the West versus family owned businesses in India? And that's probably a difference arising out of mindset or and how they've shaped up.
See, across Germany, I've seen a lot of, what should I say? A lot of small scale and medium scale industries doing niche jobs. And I'll give you one example. There's a company called Leckler, which has a setup in India, Leckler India. What do? They only do spray nozzles. They don't do anything else. So spray nozzles are the ones which are used for spraying water in the garden or in specialized equipment. They create a certain profile of the spray so that it touches the whole surface and cleans. It can be used for cleaning, for watering, for painting, or whatever else you want to spray the liquid at. It's a global company, absolutely, footprint all over the world. They sell their nozzles all over the world. Similarly, there's another company called Miele, Miele, which is into dishwashing machines. Very small, family owned business doing an absolutely fantastic job. Now, there's no reason, nothing in their science which we can't do in India. Absolutely nothing. Just that somebody thought, focused, continue to do it day in and day out and keep building, delegating, and what should I say, using techniques to see how can I go to India. He can do the business in Germany. He's coming to India and setting it up. He's setting up a small office. The other similar French company which does only irrigation spares, nothing else. There was a time they were trying to recruit me. I was one of those. I had a discussion with them. $500 million business, not big. What? Engineers coming here, figuring it out, wanting to give you all power to delegate and do what you want. The vision is different, Kanika. It starts with the vision. A lot of our businesses get stuck with the fact many of our current MSME businesses were created in the period when we had a strong license control and some after that. But even then, we have a strong taxation control and a lot of government approvals to go through. So the key skill for doing business is how do you navigate the government system, not how do you build a great product. Always. So you need somebody else to build a great product for you. And the focus is on navigating that. How do I manage this inspector and all? And I give this and not give him this declaration. If I say this, I'll pass through. I'll get the land, but I'll not get the land and things like that. That makes the difference today. So a lot of Indian businesses are focused towards that. And
You
they
think
don't
that's
care about
still
making a world-class product, which can go and delight the world over. Can we do it? Absolutely, yes. We have everything to do it. But it needs certain application, certain investment in developing it, and then going and publicizing it, which needs different energy and which needs a different vision. Our biggest challenge for MSME in the country is the lack of vision. Our vision, the moment I've come from nothing to a level where I'm doing 40, 50 crores and I'm able to afford a few cars, have a nice coty, my kids are going to a good school and I send them to US for education, I feel my job is done. My kids say, I don't want to do your business. You continue and close it down or whatever. I say, okay. And I then let the business die rather than close or sell it. I can close it or sell it. Instead of selling it, I just let it go by. But like me, there are 100 other people who are going through the same. Maybe some of them can consolidate together, create a professional management structure. And it need not go to my son if he doesn't want to do it. Perfectly okay. One of the best examples is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett said, my son did not have the capacity to manage my business. So I did not give it to him. So he has a professional CEO running. But his shareholding, his dividends go to his family. His family still enjoys because of the ownership. But operating a business and benefiting from it as a stakeholder are two different things. That distinction doesn't come. And which has to start when at some stage I start delegating. I start seeing I have this much capability. Now to go beyond this, I need this capability. For example, if somebody here wants to expand to Southeast Asia, he will need somebody who understands Southeast Asia, how the cultures are different, what is the distribution setup. So you'll have to hire somebody who can tell. Now, when he tells him, he should be able to trust the guy. Otherwise, I will not go by his advice. Then I have to go and check myself and figure it out. It'll take a long time. So I say it's a painful thing. Now, both things happen. One of the things which happens often is I'm not able to trust the employee I hire. And second, very often, even the employees are not faithful enough to the employee and they take him for a ride. And this creates even further mistrust because I know a friend of mine went through this. Now, I don't want to go through that. Let me not do that. And that is why delegation is a science. It needs, when you delegate, when you ask somebody to do it, you need to have checks and balances to see that the delegation doesn't go beyond the mandate I given. It is not misused. Those checks and balances is a very, very, very critical piece for a delegation to become successful. And that has to be understood by people, which when they don't understand, they don't do well. When they understand, structure it correctly, everything goes extremely well. So it's you get my point. This is like a story where you want to delegate and yet not be taken for a ride. If you don't want to be taken for a ride, you need to build checks and balances. You need to give him authority and yet keep a check on that. One of the things which I used to hear very regularly from my superiors, and I came to believe in it, is trust but verify. So this verification piece is so important. So delegation doesn't mean you're out of business and he only is doing it. Delegation means you're telling him, I expect you to do it, use your judgment, do it, but you keep checking the outcome he's getting again and again. You keep having somebody else keep an eye on what he's doing. So that two different people telling you the same story, yes, makes sense.
Right. You talked about, you gave a couple of examples of businesses in Western Europe and I think one in Australia. And you said that these are also family owned businesses and they're making world class products. And you compared it to India. You said we have all the capability of building world class products, but unfortunately, people are so, I would say, occupied or they're so entrenched into solving problems, I think, which to do with how to set up the company, how to get approvals, etc., that they actually end up hiring somebody else to make the product because they need to take care of all the other purpose.
You a little bit here. So what I'm seeing is they hire and they make the product. The focus on the product is low because when I am able to take approvals, 10 other companies are not able to take approvals. So what happens is a great product or not so great product doesn't matter too much. So if you see upgradation of our tools and tackles or things we use in our industry has taken place slowly. Why? When imported products and Chinese products are coming with very good functionality, are we upgrading? Remember the toys you used to get earlier, 20 years back or 15 years back? Your toys used to be very basic, very, very, poorly painted. They were not attractive. And today, completely changed because the industry is now looking at products which come out of China or other parts of the world, and they're very beautifully finished. So the molding is very accurate, no extra material. The painting is exactly on the line. It doesn't go beyond that. So what happens is when you're exposed, a child will find that much more attractive than your product. Then he picks that. So you are out of business. Then you have to upgrade your product. All I'm saying is we have to look at creating a great product. The fact that we are able to get approvals and we are able to navigate the Indian unique bureaucracy is not enough. That is a must. But after that, unless you make a great product, you cannot have a presence large. And the companies which have created great products or solutions are doing extremely well. That is where the startup culture is. So you have a Lenskart of the world, you have this Flipkart, which is an example for Walmart to follow across the world.
Hmm.
Flipkart is the platform which Walmart is using globally for e-commerce. That's where they found their mode. And they say, wow, that is why they paid what they paid for Flipkart when they bought the company. So all I'm saying is when you build a great product, whether incrementally or over a period of time or in the beginning, you do extremely well. Look at Lenskart. They make all their lenses themselves. They've created a supply chain nobody else can match in the country. Not so easy. It'll be a huge task to get there. And or boat. I'm saying I'm not a great fan of boat, but I'm saying as a product line, it has got the fancy of the crowd here. So we have our own fast fashion Zudio. You have a H&M. So there are people who are doing it. You can do it in small ways and big ways, but you have to keep an eye on the product beyond your immediate gain of being able to navigate the environment.
Would you say that ease of doing business is something which India is still not great at?
I agree. I think we are far. And the reason is we have a multi-layered process. It's center won't sit. And if you look at it, the whole hierarchy, center, certain things are controlled there. Then states, municipal corporations, and goes down to panchayat. Now, what happens is you have to take the blessing of everybody. And many times these things I'm not saying it's about corruption or something, but it's more about going that many doors and doing it. At the same time, I was spending time with somebody who's in the threads business, and I met him a few days back for a potential discussion. He was saying from the time I started my business, and that gentleman is about 65, now, the number of requirements and compliances and worries have come down to one third, one fourth. They've reduced. But the speed of reduction is still very slow. The speed of reduction can be much faster. A lot of things are just not. And I believe that if you trust, you will possibly get a better compliance.
One more thing you touched upon earlier in your answer, you talked about, I believe, at some level, ambition, where you mentioned that, if you once an entrepreneur, I'm talking about desi entrepreneur, as we call them Lala, once you do, say, 40, 50 CR, they sort of start getting complacent. You have your koti, you have a couple of fancy cars, you've got the jewelry for the wife, you do a vacation annually every year, abroad. You feel like, okay, I'm done. Then there are only certain people who have to be then really ambitious, or really, I would say, motivated to take things to the next level.
Absolutely. You are bang on. In fact, whenever I'm meeting a new potential customer, or for me, my client, I asked him two questions. Why are you doing the business you are in? Is it for earning a living or is it for creating a legacy? Now, I try to associate only with those people who are trying to create a legacy. And the reason is, and not that I'm looking down upon others, reason is my ability to add value to him will come to fruition only when he's trying to create a legacy. See, if he's only trying to earn a living, he will see my inputs and cost as a depleting thing, because a lot of things which I would tell him or do will create a longer term value. And for somebody earning a living, a longer term value doesn't mean too much. He's okay. He's fine. I'm doing business is being done. So I remember some of the large companies also. In my long corporate career, I've been approached by companies to join them. And most of the time, I insisted on meeting senior owners of the business or the senior industrialists of the country, well-known ones. And I used to ask them only one question, sir. What's your ambition for this business? And at least two cases I know, without taking names, I didn't join them just because the answer I got was, no, I think the business should run. And should keep running. That's the ambition. I said, okay, thank you. And now I understand, because if your ambition is this small, keeping running a business, that means you will not be happy with my joining you, because I'll try to do things beyond that, and I may not have your support for doing that, either in terms of investment or taking a risk in the market or whatever. I can't do that, and I won't enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, then it's better that I continue where am I. And that is what I loved about Diversey. It always gave me an opportunity to do, in spite of being a multinational, I would say it created a huge amount of internal entrepreneurs.
Very interesting. Now, something that, we've already sort of briefly touched, and that was question in my mind, even before we started. Now let's talk about family businesses which want to grow, okay? Which are now want to close off or dial down. Whether say the next generation is gonna come in. Give me some examples or from your experience, what are the complexities or which a business has to deal with when the next generation has to come in? It could be one heir who's taking it up, or sometimes I think there are multiple moving owners. So, like uncles and sons and nephews. And I'm sure you've come across these cases.
Not too many. What I've come across is mainly sons coming across, two sons, or one son taking the lead and others sitting behind. In one case, both of them wanting to do a similar job. And what we did was basically the approach was to give them similar responsibilities, but divide the area. The agreement we were able to reach between them, because at one stage, my advice was you both operate completely independently. And the counter to me was, then we will not know what is happening in the business. I said, you will have a regular meeting. You will have a daily meeting or a weekly meeting to decide. But you must have a meeting daily. But then it came down to that we will discuss. And when we don't agree, one of us will have a veto power over the other person. So if I'm handling the construction expansion and the other is handling the daily operations, whether I want to, close this today or keep it running, or who pays the electricity bill, who keeps the employees going and all, is my job. And I will take a final call. And which contractor to buy, where to open a new center, or how to open a new office and factory, all those things is the other person's job. And he will discuss, but he will take the final call. So that way to reduce the conflict. Second thing was, here in that case, we had the grandfather, or I would say the parent of the organization, to have a weekly session with both, to keep repeating that we are actually in the same business. We are not competing with each other. So we can go wrong. Now, it worked very well. In fact, that was my role also to both of them, to say that end of the day, you are brothers. Your father will not be around forever. Whatever value you create is going to benefit you. You can create value or destroy value for today. If you destroy value, you're lost. If you create value, both gain. Now you can say this guy can take a little more or less. That comes later. That we can sort out. But first create. The same thing like capitalism versus socialism. No trickle down. You first create, then only something will trickle down. Don't create anything, there's no trickle down anywhere. So that's the way I look at it. So that worked. Another case we had where there was a single guy and father, they didn't agree on anything.
I think that's very typical with sons and fathers.
No, but when you are in a business continuity mode, and what I did help in that case was to translate everything into a risk profile. So if the son is saying, I will get out of the traditional distribution model and I will go only quick commerce, online commerce, direct D2C. So we sat down, we said, yeah, okay, good idea. First, say good idea. I said, okay, let us make a P&L. He said, how can I make a P&L without running it? I said, you know the cost of your product. You know at what price you're selling in the market today. You know the money Amazon or whichever intermediary you use will take. He said, no, I'll sell directly. I said, even if you sell directly, you need to drive traffic to your website. Otherwise, if nobody comes to your website, nobody will buy anything. So Amazon may be a faster way, and then you can drive traffic to your website. And he made a P&L for it. And then he realized that he wasn't able to make money through the D2C versus the father's old model of distribution. So now another challenge. Father said, see, I told you that. But I said, there's a merit. Merit is, where does the future lie? Our traditional distribution channels are getting transformed. They are undergoing a major change. Now, in times to come, you cannot escape online commerce or a quick commerce. You cannot escape if you are in that kind of a business. So that's the role which a consultant plays by giving them both sides of the perspective. It's not to say one is right or the other. Both are right, but both are not absolute right. So you need to start playing this game, even at a loss in the beginning, and then figure out. Then we drew up a chart as to what are the next steps you can do once you reach this level so that your profitability improves. So there are, these are commercial tricks, if I may use the word, which can be used to play how you can make more money. One of the, I'm sure you know this commercial trick. When Zomato started food delivery, they were all losing money, right? Now what they have done? Nobody will that. What they have done? If they sell a idli to you for 100 rupees at the restaurant, the same idli on the platform is 120 or 150. Okay. Now, out of that, restaurant is happy selling it for 100. Zomato is happy keeping his 20. Plus he charges 10 rupees delivery charges. Plus he charges 5 rupees as platform fees. So what happens? He gets 35.
Yeah.
Is 15 or 20 to the person who delivers it to you. And then he creates a habit and a stickiness and the food business makes fire. So these are commercial tricks you can play over time to create the momentum. Once I'm used to the habit of ordering late night and late day and having everything on Blinkit, the chances that instead of getting one Blinkit a day, I will get 6 Blinkits a day. And if I get six Blinkits a day, the dark store can be next door to me and delivery in 5 minutes. And then my cost of delivery will come down from 35 bucks each delivery to 10 bucks per delivery. And as the cost comes down, I make more.
Yeah. So very interesting. When we talked about, succession and different cases of, in some cases, there are, let's say, two heirs who are coming in or two sons and they have different ways of thinking, or maybe even if it's a single one, they don't agree. Do you think that I'm going to make this more nuanced? How have you seen this play out in different communities? Because we all know that there are certain communities in India which business wise do better than the others. So with your smile, I think you figured what I'm hinting at.
I I have played in 3 communities. I can be very specific. I've been doing this for 3 years. This kind of things don't count. One in a Maharashtra setting. So it was a Maharashtra Gujarati setting where they see reason very quick and the matter ends very quick. The North Indian communities, the Marwadis and Punjabis are a little more dig your heels in and I am right. Only difference between the two is the aggression in discussion. But both understand business. Both are very smart. There's no lack. But their agreement comes after a nice, solid conflict. Unless they fight a battle, they don't come to a common point, which I saw but these are very limited experiences. You should not generalize this. It's unfair for me to say the whole world will behave this way. It's I can't say the whole Marwadi and whole Punjabi and whole Agrawal family. It's all about a respect in spite of intense disagreement for the elders is pretty high in a Marwadi. In a Punjabi community, there's a more open dialogue, which looks aggressive and the language itself sounds aggressive. So language is a little more, intense. So one can mistake for it. But I think in terms of what will work and what will not work, anybody who's doing business is smart. I don't think we should undermine the Indian businessmen of any background, even for a minute. And I've seen them across. In my past life also, I've seen my distributors, I've seen my, suppliers, small and big, how they operate and how they think, and absolutely smart. Very, very smart. That is why I feel bad when they don't scale up. You'll be surprised. You see these bottle spray pumps when you buy a Colin kind of a thing to spray glass. These pumps are made by an international company in India. Can you believe it? Why can't Indian companies make?
Yeah.
There's only one Indian company making it. I would say, why can't 20 make them? Why can't that one company export to the whole world? That's where I'm saying there are enough opportunities. And the Chinese manufacturing backyard manufactures every damn thing, right from a small cap to the most complex AI chips, which the world is now relying. And they've created that. It's an ecosystem. And do you think they don't have fights? They have plenty of fights, very aggressively. But when they're building a business together, that binds them. Ambition is high, more ambitious than us.
So typically we've seen, and this can be a little bit of a stereotype, but we've all, hear about it so much, that Gujaratis as a community, they're very close, and they're very like together, and like they want to help out each other. So it's not even people from your own family, but their fundamental is that we will help uplift each other. So the help sort of moves way more smoothly than you would see the same thing in Punjabis. Punjabis by nature are competitive. So it's like the Kapoors have made done better, the Khananas will be wanting to like do even better.
I
But
think I think it's a bit historical. And I'll give you, Kanika, the reasons for that. See, if you look at the
mm,
Punjabis so far, they've had the most traumatic experiences in their history. They have been living in a space where all the aggressors of coming in from the northwest have hit. Partition, we all know how traumatic it was. Thousands of families lost everything in spite of having a very, very beautiful, very rich lifestyle there, lost people, came here with a trauma which probably never went away. You know, that kind of stuff, kind of. So overall, you become competitive. You are willing to survive at the cost of anybody. Gujarati down, the more south you go, the more docile people you find. Because they never fought for existence. They never fought that I have to live another day. I think that makes a difference. Now, I'm giving my own thoughts about this, why it happens. But Gujaratis are very good at, they have learned the art of what I call creating a win win situation. Their paradigm is win win. They're not helping anybody. They are competing big time. But their way of competing is that if two people are playing in the same market, we will both expand the market. We will not grow at the expense of each other. We'll grow the market. And if I'm helping somebody to grow today or whatever place, Marwadis do this a lot, by the way. They do it a lot. If you look at the whole Calcutta Marwadi ecosystem, and I have lived in Northeast, Bhutan and all, the entire business is run by Marwadis, no Gujaratis. There are no Gujaratis there, only Marwadi. You will see Sindhis all over Southeast Asia in businesses. So what happens is these people have stretched for the sake of prosperity. They have not hesitated from taking risks. And these are business communities who want peace, who don't want to fight. And they don't believe fighting each other is their strength. So they don't believe in fighting with each other. They believe in helping and let them exist. He says he will find his own way, I'll find my own. So they are not saying I am inferior to somebody or he's superior or whatever. There's an element of we both will fly. We both will fly. It's not like space is only for one to fly. No. They say expand the space to make everybody's able to fly.
They'll expand the market size.
They expand the market. And that's a fact. That's a fact. A single player. Till Maruti was the only player in the country. Or before that, Fiat and Abbas were only two players in the country. You knew the state of the car industry in the country. Then for the next decade, Maruti ruled completely. Once Honda, Toyota, and Hyundai, Hyundai was the next one to come, and these came. The car market kind of revolutionized itself.
Yeah.
You saw so many models, options, pricing, competition. On the other day, somebody was asking me, why is Tesla not doing well in India? I said, Tesla cannot do well in India in the electric cars because looking at the pocket, Tatas and Mahindras have created such a beautiful, I would say, portfolio of electric cars at a price point below 20 lakhs that Tesla cannot even sell at $20,000. Their price is higher than that, not 20,000. So it's like they can't, they're far away. Now, their car may be more sophisticated, but at the price point I can afford, I'm happy with less sophistication. With even a manual car, if that helps. Because I don't want to, I can afford so much. Let me get the benefit of an electric train, power train in the price point I can afford. And then I'll be able to convert myself. So that's why I keep saying Indian businessmen are extremely smart. What holds them back? Ambition, willingness to give control. And one more, I would say, willingness to take help. They don't want to take help. They want to do everything themselves. I'm sure in your market research practice, how many small scale industries are open to the idea of doing market research for them?
Very few. In fact, we stopped pitching to them because the lalas didn't want to hear anything from us.
Exactly. And do you think big companies are stupid doing it? They're not. They just are saying, I don't want it. I know. The fact is, you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And if I don't know what I don't know, and with those market insights, people take such beautiful decisions which can change the industry. And there are a lot of examples. Why are startups more successful today than historical companies? Because they go all the way. They hustle morning, evening. They don't bother about whether I'm driving a BMW or a Maruti Desire. They are happy coming in a Uber and going back. but they work 18 hours a day and they want to create value faster.
Yeah.
And then they are able to create unicorns. Now tell
Yeah.
me if somebody can create a unicorn in 15 years from zero, and many people have done that kind of work. Why is somebody sitting in Punjabi Bagh or Chandni Chowk with a 100-year-old business still stuck at 50, 60 crores? Do you think he doesn't know anything? I met a very, recently in wedding shopping, we met somebody who was into this fabrics and shawls, saris and things like that. And I just left. I had some bright ideas for him how should he do it. Because in the same shop, he was selling products at 2,000 rupees and 2 lakh also. And I said, you need to segment your retail outlets different. Because if you keep both of them together, then the people who come in will not know what am I buying from whom. You need to have some kind of a price range in which you play. And I had some terrific ideas for them to say, if I am the owner, I would do it yesterday. All I said is, can I have a chat with the owners? Can I have a call? Tell me what will they lose by having a discussion? Just a call. And I am absolutely sure, even if they take half the ideas, they'll benefit immensely. And where does that idea come to me? Because I see those kind of things being done by people outside the world. Because I don't go just for my cleaning business to the world. I observe how Japanese do business and I observe how Chinese do business and what are they doing right and what are we doing and how can we use those ideas in our part of the world. Or that sparks another thought. But willingness to take that is very less, very, very less. That's a space.
So tell me something. You've helped scale a lot of businesses, okay, or you've seen them, experienced them directly, indirectly. Do you feel that there are certain solutions which will work differently for a business which is say is trying to scale from 1 to 10? So the 1 to 10 crore journey is very different, and the 10 to 100 crore journey becomes very different.
Absolutely, completely different. 1 to 10 is your fingers are in all the pies. You have to know everything about the business at that stage, and you control everything with touch and feel because you can do it. One. Second, this is the best time to learn the ropes of business. So if I am trying to get into a new space, say create a new shampoo, I'm just making a very common business, and I say, okay, what all goes into it? I need to have a cleaner. So what are the cleaners? SLAS? Can I use AOS? Can I use, why do we put EDTA? Why is the EDTA needed here? What is a conditioner? What are the alternate conditioners? What is L'Oreal using? I can ask 20,000 questions and learn about it. Then I can figure out how packaging makes a difference. So there's a huge opportunity. 1 to 10 crores or 1 to 20 crores is something when I can do all this with all I need to do is, and all these people, businessmen are very hardworking. They work typically 6 days a week for 12 hours a day. And the seventh day is also 7, 8 hours they work. Their family life is quite limited till when they're building up. They just go crazy. Very, very hard. Then comes the stage when you have created this structure, you know the formulation. And now I want to spread it outside. So I want to spread it to say, I want to launch it in Tamil Nadu. Now I can go to Tamil Nadu once in a month, but that's not enough. So I need to have a salesperson in Tamil Nadu. I have to trust him. That salesperson will go to distributors, they'll give me a feedback, and that guy will come back to me, talk to me, and convince me he has to find my time. I should be available for him, and then he will communicate. Or can I give him some authority? Limited that he can clear. So if somebody says, I got damaged products, sir, can you replace that quickly and let us settle the thing later? No, but your policy says that, unless he pays for it, he doesn't get it. Okay, so he's right. But then you ended up creating a bottleneck for that guy to build up a business quickly. Like I say, you go to a restaurant and there are two kinds of things. There are people, you say this roti was cold, a simple thing. Tandoori roti was cold or burnt or whatever. And the manager will come and say, sir, I'm sorry, let me change it. Another restaurant will say, sir, theek to hai, sir, because he doesn't have the authority to change the roti. So somebody else will come and question, why did you spend 1 kg extra atta against the number of rotis or chapatis you built? And he can't answer that because he replaced 5 of them. His chefs. And if the chefs made mistake, why did you make 5 times mistakes? That's one way of doing it. The other way of enabling way of doing it is, guys, for every 100 chapatis we made, we used to have 5 wastage. Now tomorrow we will have only 2 wastage, not more than 2. Let's come to that. Now, end of the day, you have 3, you say, where have we gone wrong? Why are we doing it again? Oh no, the oven temperature control is not good. Tandoor temperature control is not. What can we do? the number of people. So point is, one is the problem solving, one is the blaming. Blaming doesn't help. Problem solving always gives you out. So it's an approach to business. You have to allow for this mistakes. I call it letting go. It's like, "Acha, ho gayi na galti. I have to take the cost because I'm the owner." That person who's earning 10,000, 15,000 a month cannot pay for those tokens. Unless he's being careless again and again, and I need to punish him. I should give him some leeway to make a mistake and learn. And this simple thing doesn't come because for them, the money is personal.
Yeah.
Money is personal. It comes out of my own pocket and it hurts them. So you have to figure out that.
So on that note, do you think when a business reaches a certain scale, so when, let's say, one person starts a business, they've taken to a scale of, let's say, 50, 60 CR. Now to actually move it forward, they do need help for different functions. Because see, there's only so much I can know, or only so much you can know. Beyond the point, I would be like, you know what? I don't know so much of tech, so let me actually hire a CTO. He can come implement these proper systems. He will take a better judgment call on what solutions we need. I am not the right person. Do you feel that family owned businesses or like these lalas, how are they with respect to spending on technology today versus, I mean, is it different today versus 10 years ago? That is also my second
You
question.
ask me, I think my understanding is they're scared of tech. They know they need it, but they don't know how to do it or how to use it. So for many of them, it's about playing with reels and Instagram and things like that. Anybody who tells them anything is either okay or not okay. And there are those people who will be saying, "Okay, so what do I get out of it after some time?" And what I have found and what I did even in my diversity times is there are areas I don't know. Like digital marketing, I'm sorry, not my forte. I'm not good at. What do? I go to somebody like Mindcog, or I go to somebody like some other agency. Yes, tell me it's okay. So I learn from them. What are the parameters you're going to track? How is it going to benefit me? What is my time on which I'm going to watch and figure it out? And then we will start the experiment. In my mind, I will take the cost for the first 2, 3 months and figure out this is the cost. This is the risk I can take. Even if whatever he says is wrong, I won't get anything. Let me keep doing. And that is how you start building something new. There's no other way of trying to build something. And this is where I come in for many of these promoters. Because then they don't know how to navigate a new space. And I have done plenty of that navigation in a new space. So I can hold their hand and say, this is the way to navigate. Like for a 60, 100 crore company, I won't hire a CT. I will find a good consultant, give him performance parameters, agree performance parameters with him, and let him deliver on that. Rather than start with a CTO and you are relying on the judgment of a single person versus an ecosystem, which this consultant brings. With an experience, he's working at 5 other companies. He knows what is working, what is not working. And you always have to keep him tempted with increased business over time. As you do that, you say, okay, we'll do this. Exactly these things I've used in my past life. We were to create a service module for our machines in Diversey. We were the first country in the world to create a completely local system at a cost, which was actually 5% of the cost the global biggies were offering us. And that system is now running from 13 years. And it is considered to be the best in the world. Was offered by a small player out of Malad in Bombay. He doing very well. Only thing is that we were very cautious when we worked. We worked with him in pieces. Then our IT team came in and said, what is your security? How are you securing yourself? What is the safety involvement? What are the codes? Fair. We kept building them. The cost is, that alone system, when we first put it in, like, it was built at a princely cost of 10 lakh rupees in 2013. For a 600 crore business, 10 lakhs is nothing. 500 crore business that time. And it helped us improve our prices of the machines by 5%. Now, if I can improve a price on a 100 crore portfolio or 50 crore portfolio by 5%, I'm getting 2.5 crores a year. What kind of equation it is? So solutions exist. All we need is a mindset. I think a lot of our historical businesses have to get into a startup mindset. The moment they get into a startup mindset, money is available, technology is available, talent is available, competence is there, building becomes much faster, much quicker. And today they may be happy driving 2 BMWs. Tomorrow they'll be happy driving 5 Aston Martins, which I'm sure will give them more pleasure than driving a BMW alone. So I'm saying look for longer term wealth, Don't look just for short-term.
Do you think that Indian businesses have or Indian business owners have lower risk appetite as compared to those abroad? Do you
I
think
don't
that's also something?
No, I don't think the risk appetite is less. The lack of understanding of risk causes more. You don't understand the risk problem. See, to me, how do you overcome any fear? You look at the what is the worst which can happen. If you can't take the worst situation, you reduce the size of the worst and you say, let me do a pilot. Biggest companies in the world do pilots, but they don't want to risk the whole company in one go. Yeah, I'm sure you would have heard that this company is launching a new product in Vizag or in Indore. Why? We want to see the response in the market before we go national or regional. That's the nobody wants to. So I think risk mitigation and management is an important part of business. You don't want to risk your existence for something else.
Interesting. You also talked about, so actually, this is something I wanted to ask previous to this question. You said that when you mentioned that better than a CTO, I'll hire a consultant who has worked with similar family owned businesses and brings like a host of maybe their own ecosystem of solutions that can be chosen from. Do you think that family owned businesses are more open to such consultants vis a vis consulting firms?
I think, small consultants make much more sense for them than big firms. And I'll tell you why. The big firms comes with overheads and a minimum sticker price. The affordability becomes a challenge. That's one. Second, while they may bring one of the big things about bigger industrial firms is they work very well in a large organized formal system. And small scale companies do not have those large scale systems. You call a PwC or a KPMG to set up your GST system. They will need 3 softwares in your place before they can start doing. Now that software will have its own license fees and a cost and things like that. And that is when you need to see how many transactions am I going to have per month. What system do I actually need? Is Tally enough for me or do I need an ERP? Maybe I'm happy with the Tally because that's my business. I don't need too much. See, keeping your costs at a level when they are in proportion to the size of your business is a very important part for existence and growth. It's easy to increase the cost, but very difficult to contain them if the business doesn't fly. So start small. And if I'm making enough money, I can always scrap the Tally and go for the next, software if it is doing well and if it is needed then to grow further. Then I should not hesitate to take that double cost. Then I'm making money.
Correct. So, corporate and family run, is there a common thread which actually holds the organization together?
Thread is absolutely common, and I have one word for it: culture. So, if you go to the largest of organizations, I'm sure you have heard of Uber before Dara came into. They were known for their toxic culture, and Unilever. They're known for their extremely accommodating, healthy, well-organized culture. Or a Google, where you had a fantastic informal culture and supported everywhere all the time. Culture determines the organization. So Uber culture will attract alpha males wanting to make money at any cost, rapidly outcompete each other, somewhat like Punjabis you mentioned about that business to grow. And Google was a more collaborative culture trying to grow together, not at the cost of each other. So giving each person a comfort. The Google culture is far more sustainable than the first toxic culture. This toxicity breaks organization and breaks it rapidly. And that is why if you see the CEO got changed, and since then Uber went through a bit of a plateau for some time. Now it is doing well again, doing very well again. And it is the largest company in the world. There's nothing compared to them in the world today. They've done very well. So I cannot say that in early stages, that gentleman, I'm forgetting his name, was wrong or right. Maybe he did something which was required at that time and now sustain the business a different culture. Same goes for Indian organizations or multinational. The culture holds you together. Culture of control where Lala decides everything. And Lala can also be an MNC CEO, by the way. I'm saying the names can be interchangeably used depends on the kind of culture you have. Or Lala could be sitting outside where you are just the puppets in the hands of a puppeteer sitting in UK and deciding what you should do, what you should not do. All decisions are taken there and you are just sitting here saying, I wear a jacket and I sign the checks locally till my boss tells me to sign the checks locally. But fundamentally, whether you are contributing with full energy or you are just coming and doing a job is a function of what kind of a culture you are brought up or you play in. I'm sure you run an organization, Kanika, and I'm sure you will see people wanting to take more on them and people wanting to do just a job. And then
Yeah.
and if you want to create a culture where the whole organization weight is behind you would like to have people more who want to take more on and you don't want people who are just doing the job. And that can only come when they feel encouraged because all of them at all time will not do the right thing. They will make mistakes. And when they make mistakes, somebody should be able to say, you did wrong. Okay, don't repeat it. Let's do. That's the culture you create. And this single thing is what creates a. So, do I feel secure at work? Do I feel like coming to work or no? That determines the organization. Or if I make a mistake, will I be hanged? Then I try to hide it. If or will I be reprimanded and allowed, or will I be supported and said, okay, you learned something? That determines. Culture is, I would say, binds organization at all levels, including the families. But I call family also as an organization, and you have all kinds of things in family settings. You have very democratic families, and you have very autocratic families. Yeah. Yeah. I've also worked across different organizations before I started Mindcog. And a personal observation is that the founder, like the person who's sitting at the top, how he is as a person, that's generally the culture of the overall company. He has to set the tone at the top. He sets the tone, no doubt about it. But in a organization like a Google, even if you have a funny guy sitting at the top who's not in the line with that culture, the culture will not easily change because the messages, because all those organizations have tentacles from all functions coming into it. So you can't really have different cultures across them because the touch points are many more than just the top man. But when you have a top man led organization, his behavior sets the tone for the company. Absolutely. I agree. Tell me one thing that you think foreign family businesses can learn from Indian family businesses and vice versa. Foreign family businesses can actually learn from Indian family owned businesses. Agility, speed, commercial savvy. Indian businesses are extremely good at commercial savvy. Their ability to look at the cost of money, their ability to look at how to turn a loss making deal into profit making and make it work is, I would say, the best in the world. They work, they're not creative. They're very good with the products, creative with the products, but they're not creative commercially. Our teams are very, very good. You give them any problem, they'll find a solution. If them any problem, they'll find a solution. I'll give you, you know, why I keep giving an example. In my early days, when I joined Diversey in 2003, 2004, I was asked to start the Pakistani business. Now, Pakistani business from India is one of the most challenging things you can get to solve. First of all, the visa is a city visa. You don't get a visa to travel. We had no base in Pakistan, zero. We had a reseller who used to buy something and sell something, and he had his own interest. In that setting, we created a business. Then let me add another element on top. Another element is goods. The company we were making, well, we could not dispatch anything from India into Pakistan. They were on negative list, so they were not allowed to do. In that setting, we created a business setup where the money was wired into India and the products moved from China into Pakistan. China will invoice India. We will change the documents on sea legally possible, change the documents, and the invoice which goes to Pakistan will be Indian invoice. Origin of goods, China. Money comes into India through the LC, through the bank. This was the only, we were, in my knowledge at that time, we were the only multinational company doing this transaction. Everybody else was dealing through Europe or Dubai or some other place. And I was given this mandate by my boss who said, we are not following a management accounting system. We are following a financial accounting system. Himanshu, I need the money here because we are spending on your travel and development and all that from here. So I want the money to come into India. Because wherever the money went, it was counted in the sales of that country. You get my point? So you could create that. It took a few iterations. It took a lot of convincing around in a country where we had our phones did not go roaming. Indian phones were not roaming in Pakistan that time. So I'm just trying to tell you, if you have a well, Indians are extremely good at creating these kind of commercial sets. Extremely. And I've seen that at high level, low level, all I've seen this. Very interesting. This has been a very interesting conversation. So let me ask you, closing thoughts. Okay. I want for you to give an advice, two pieces of advice for family owned businesses
One, for the generation which has made it, and second, for the generation who's going to take over.
Message for the generation who has made it: be very proud of what you have. Look at it as something. You brought a new child into this world, and the growth and prosperity of that child is credit to your efforts. Look for a life for the child like your son beyond you, or what I call legacy. Leave a legacy. Don't look at it like it has to die with me. And whatever I did was right, everything else is wrong, and nothing can be done. So if your child is just listening to you, he will not grow after a point. He has to find his own space. Even birds do that, animals do that. We also do that. We all know that. We are not doing what our parents did. I'm sure you are not doing that, and I'm not doing that. I never did that. I learned from them basic values and did what. Message for the people who are picking it up: I think they have to value what they have got, and they have to be thankful for a beautiful gift they have got from their parents and a base on which to build. Getting a business off ground is not easy. It's very difficult. Now, if I am the son who's receiving a 50 crore business from my father, I should thank my father first and then work on it to take it to 500 crores rather than say whatever he did was wrong and let me kill that first before I build anything, which happens. So, one way, I'm leaving a legacy. Let me stay out of it now. And the other way, it's a gift. It's a starting point. It's a seed for me, a bigger seed. Anything else you're
I
thinking?
think actually this is a very interesting, topic, and we can actually continue to speak on it
You
for
can do
long.
a second part two if you want. I'm happy. You can have a conversation. You can have small clips, big clips, whatever you want it. I'm happy to talk because it's like I
Mm,
said, it's all extempore for me. I'm not really reading from a document or something because these are lived experiences.
yes.
And lived experiences you don't need to write down.
This has been a great conversation. We thank you so much for your time, Manshji, and I enjoyed having this conversation, and I'm sure all of you would love hearing this conversation. And I'm also going to leave his contact details, his LinkedIn profile, basically in the description box below. If you want to reach out to him to have a conversation on family business, or if you're an MSME owner and you want to talk to him, please reach out to him. He will respond, if his time allows. Thank you all for tuning in, and feel free to leave comments for us to tell us more about what topics you would like to hear more about. Thank you so much for tuning in.